Welcome back. It's your boy, Real Talk, Mr. Anonymous. I'm back at you again, my peoples. How y'all doing out there? I hope y'all staying safe. Hope y'all staying away from everybody, staying quarantined, man. Feel good to be back, man. Should do it. Done got a little bit lazy, man. I should be putting out few more podcasts than I am. I'm gonna try to do better. I promise I'm gonna do better. But man, we back at you again, man, for another live podcast on this beautiful Sunday. As I always say, no matter what the situation brings in life, it's always a great day when you're able to wake up every morning and be healthy, be at home with your loved ones, and just sharing this time in this moment. We all have to feel blessed about, what's going on. No matter how, we might agitate each other and, be locked down in the house, man. But again, man, back at y'all another day of Real Talk, Mr. Anonymous, man. We're going to talk about some sports, man, but we're going to talk about this pandemic. We're just going to talk about being at home in quarantine. We're just going to talk about a little bit of everything today, man. We're going to break it all the way down, man, for y'all. I always keep it real funky fresh with y'all. I always keep it 100, I always keep it right. So we're going to get to it, man. We're going to get to it. We're going to get off about some NFL, who we think is the best player in the draft. We're gonna get into it about the pandemic and what our thoughts on it. Everybody got their own thoughts and what they think and who is the cause of it and what part Donald Trump plays in it. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into a little bit, like I said, a little bit of NFL, mostly NFL, man. We're gonna get into some entrepreneur stuff like I always do. Just to kind of keep you on your tippy toes as well as keep myself on my tippy toes. And we're gonna get into some and we're gonna get into some other things. So we're gonna start the show right off, man. We're gonna get right on into it. As always, I always give y'all the best damn 30 minutes of your life. Everybody out there that's listening, please go check out my podcast, Real Talk with Mr. Anonymous, is on Spotify. I am on iTunes, iHeart, Stitcher, wherever you listen to podcasts at, man, you can find me. Wherever you listen to podcasts, I'm on IG at Real Talk with Mr. Anonymous, Twitter at Real Talk Mr. Anonymous. Shoot me a DM. Let me know some stuff that y'all want to talk about and y'all want to address. No subject is off topic with me. I talk about a little bit of everything. I'm going to give it to you real and raw, and that's how I always do it. So y'all already know I appreciate everybody for the love and support out there. Please continue to follow. Please continue to download my podcast. Please continue to subscribe. Please. Appreciate y'all. For everything. Now we're going to get into it, man. You want to go into a debate, man. You start thinking about it and your thoughts about the coronavirus. And it's very interesting that everybody has a perspective on what's starting it. Everybody has a perspective on what to do. I mean, I think the real people that really know are the powers that be, a.k.a. the government. They are the ones that really know what can be done and what can't be done, and if there's a cure out there, if it's not a cure, what causes this coronavirus to be really more detrimental to some than others. That still, because they said it's detrimental if you have asthma and so forth and so on, but there has been people with those symptoms that have recovered from it, and there's been people with symptoms that haven't recovered from it. So it's very, very interesting to really know exactly what's going on. My personal belief is that this is something I believe that could have been stopped a long time ago if Donald Trump had wanted it to be stopped. I don't think he took it as seriously as it should been taken. I think it's a money play in it also. I think he's campaigning like, okay, I'm the savior of the country. I've given y'all this stimulus checks. I've given the economy a boost with these stimulus checks, and now I have antivirus. Now I'm gonna, now I've saved the world. So what better person to vote for in 2020 other than myself? To me, it's all a scam, and that's just the way I look at it. I think it's strategic, and I think all of his moves that he's done is strategic in that way. And this is another example of him and the power that he holds and he controls. I think over because as you know, he makes a lot of decisions. And before we're on a sidetrack right quick. we're going to talk about it because a lot of people say, oh, the president this and the president that. But a lot of people don't know that the president doesn't actually, he can't do a damn thing. Actually, it's the Senate and it's the House that passes laws and changes things. Those are the people that actually pass laws and change things. The president is more of a puppet, more or less. I think he has some input on things, but at the end of the day, the House and the Senate are the ones who pass and change laws. So to some degree, I don't think we can always look at the president as the cop-out excuse. We got to look at the hierarchy of him, which is the Senate and the government, and those are the ones that pass and legislate laws and allow things to happen. So you never know really what's in play. I think it's so much information that has not been given to us about the coronavirus, and I think they're only going to feed us what they want us to know at the end of the day, and that's how it's always been. The media is going to put out certain things, and they're going to put out the things that they want you to know, and the things they don't want you to know that's probably virally important, that probably could have saved lives. Those are the things they're not going to put out. They're going to spoon feed your information. So I just advise everybody, do your own research on it. Look at it the way you want to look at it. That way you will not be misinformed by information that you're being given off of CNN. Because I personally believe only 90% of the information given on CNN is bullshit. The other 10% is true. So that's my feeling on it. That's my feeling on the pandemic, on the corona. And I pray everybody out there that has lost someone, we dearly pray for, the families of everybody has been lost in this tragic event. I do not believe it's a hoax. As we can tell, people are dying from it every day. So I pray that y'all stay safe, man. Stay prayed up. Thank God every day that you're able to rise. And I think this is another way that just shows us that at any time life is so precious it can be taken away from you. Because we're expecting 100,000 people, 103,000 people have died already. So at any time, life could be taken away from you. Life is so precious, and you have to enjoy and embrace every moment of this journey that they call life. No matter what you're dealing with, no matter what you're going through in life, you just have to enjoy the moment. You have to learn how to live every moment and be ready for whatever comes your way, and keep moving, keep going. Put one foot forth ahead of another every day, and continue to try to be great, continue to try to be good, continue to try to be better, continue to try to pursue your dreams, continue to try to stay close with the people that really love you. So that's just my thought on that. Hope everybody is having a beautiful Sunday. Now we're going to move on. We're going to come back a little bit to somewhat of a topic of that a little bit later. But, a lot of people have been asking me, is the NBA season over? That's a very good question. I personally believe that the NBA season is over. I don't know how they're going to be able to come back, because the playoffs were supposed to start last week, and now you're at a position where you're still 20 to 25 to 30 games. You know what I mean? Still left in the season. I don't think you can go straight into the playoffs without having those games, because I think you risk a lot of injuries to a lot of players not having that game time play. So it's going to be very hard for the NBA to come back. I think they only have probably like another month before they can work something out. But I don't see NBA coming back this season. I think we have to look towards next season, unfortunately. My Lakers, I feel like, was on a tear. My boy LeBron was on a tear this year to get the chip. I think he was going to get the chip this year, Who knows? But we'll see how that play out. I'm not sure if the season is over or not yet. I know the NBA is going to do everything in their power to make sure we have some sort of a season, even if it runs over into the NFL season. But we'll stay posted. I'll keep you posted on that. Any news that's happening on that. No decision has been made as of yet. Excuse me, hold on. Had to sip a little bit. No decisions have been made as of yet, so we shall see how that plays out for the NBA. Would be great if we can have something to watch on TV. Shit, I ain't gonna lie to you. It's scrambling around. These days you're scrambling around trying to find something to watch, trying to keep yourself entertained while you're confined in the house. So, Netflix, Hulu, whatever it may be, that has your attention, game boards, whatever it may be, whatever you got going on, just, stay in the house, man, stay safe. It's no joke out there. If you go out, please, people wear masks, It's very, very important. that we do that in order for us to get back to some sort of normalcy where we can move around like we want to move around again. So the NFL draft is coming up, man, and I've been kind of going back and forth with this in my mind, man. To me, I feel like the best player in the draft from a being a great quarterback, a great player, quarterback in the NFL is Tua from Alabama. He is by far, I feel like, the player that has the most NFL ready body of work right now. And I know there's a lot of issues out there despite his injury concern, but during his virtual pro day, he looked very good. He moved well. It didn't seem like the hit was a big deal. We don't know how that will be, until you get into game speed to see how that will be. But other than him, I would say Chase Young would probably be a great another player that come out to be a good pass rusher. I'm undecided on him still. I like his mode. I like his work ethic. I'm just not completely sold on him. But for me, the player that I feel like most NFL ready, despite, any injury or any other setbacks that he may have, is Tua. He got all the tools to be a great NFL player, I believe. Poised in the pocket, arm strength, scramble around a little bit. I believe he's going to be a great NFL player if he can stay healthy, which is a big quotation mark around him to have such a traumatizing injury early in his, early before he even gets in the NFL. So we'll see how that plays out. Hopefully he stays healthy and plays well. But I believe that he has all the tools that are needed in order to be a great NFL player and a great NFL quarterback. He is, to me, the only one that is NFL ready. I don't see anybody else that I feel that is NFL ready to really just plug in. If he had to play right now, this upcoming season, he could play. I don't see anybody else. If they had to play this season, they could play. There's some other guys out there. Maybe if you give them some experience, behind some other players, then they might, mature on to be an NFL quarterback. But he's the most game ready player that I see right now as we speak. So shout out to him, man. Hopefully he stays healthy, man. Hopefully somebody takes a chance on that young man. I know I would if I was a GM, first round pick. Absolutely. If somebody passes on him and he gets down to that 20th pick, I'm going for it. You know what I mean? That's just, I'm going for it. I'm putting it all on. I'm putting it all on the line for him. So that's just how I feel about him from me seeing him play and from me seeing what kind of player that he could be. So, that's my thoughts on him. Now we're going to go from the college scene. We're going to go to a little bit of NFL, just a little bit of NFL news. And it's funny. And I understand what some of these players are feeling. So we had a report last week that Dak Prescott is upset. He's not upset, but he has a problem. He's just disappointed that every time he does something, the media catches it and they run with it. Hey, buddy, wake up. I'm telling you, partner, that is the price of fame. You want to be famous without the fame. It doesn't work like that. That's just a portion of it. I know they probably say, well, oh, you don't know because you're not in it. But that is the choice that you chose. Everybody has choices. You've been given the ability to play a sport, Dak Prescott. You've been given the ability to be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott again. Sorry, guys, I got interrupted on that one. I'm not sure what happened. A little bit of technical difficulties. Anyway, we were talking about Dak Prescott and, how frustrated he is about what happened after he had a dinner party of 10 people over to his house. Less than 10 people to his house. He clarified it. They said it was a party. He said it was a dinner party. Frustrated about it was a weekend gathering. Nevertheless, with the climate today, everybody is super sensitive about the stay home, which I understand that. So everybody was kind of feeling a certain way because you had a certain amount of people over to your house at one time and we're supposed to be quarantining. It's almost like people feel like, oh, you feel like you're better than us. You don't have to quarantine. That's the feeling that it gives people sometimes. So it's not about your intention, but it's about how the people take it. And people took it a certain way, like, oh, okay, well, cool, shit, you around here having parties and shit. You know, we supposed to be on quarantine. You know what I mean? Oh, you better than us? You get to have parties and you get to be above the law. You know, and then if we look at it, the other week before that, you was practicing out with Dez Bryant and close to them, like, okay, well, you above this quarantine shit, huh? So I think people kind of, you know, whether it's right or wrong, people gonna rush to judge quickly in the society we live in, because that's just how it goes. The society that we live in, everybody is quick to pass some kind of judgment. Everybody is quick to chime in on some shit that don't really involve them. And at the end of the day, it really doesn't involve you particularly. We are in this all together as we speak. We all should be quarantining. But if that's what he chooses to do, that's his business. You know, if he chooses to put his life at stake, or anybody else that is involved in that at stake, then that's their business. We have to get away from always being so judgmental all the time. Always, we also have to get away from always rushing to say something before we all know all the facts. We love to rush to judgment before we know facts about a particular situation. We'll rush to judgment quick, you know, before we know everything that's going on, and that's such bullshit to me. I feel as people, as society, that we do. Anytime some news happens, we're rushing to make some kind of statement about what happened. We don't even know what the fuck happened. You know, we don't even know what happened during the situation. We don't even know what it was about. We only know what the headline says, so now we rush to judgment. And I think we do a very poor job of gathering all the facts before we speak on situations as a whole, as the world, a lot of times. Sometimes you have to sit back and let's gather the facts, and once we gather the facts, okay, then you can make your judgment. But at the end of the day, man, that's that man's business. He had less than 10 people. It was a dinner party. He felt like it was okay. People are going to do what people are going to do, no matter what you say. You can preach quarantine and stay at home, all that. People going to do what they want to do at the end of the day. The only thing you can do is try to make yourself and your family, make sure you and your family is safe, period. And that's it at the end of the day, honestly. You know, and like I told you, I always try to give y'all straight, raw truth on how I feel about it. And that's just how I feel about it. Whether it was a good idea or not to me, it doesn't matter if it was a good idea or not to me. It was a good idea to him, and he's the one that was doing it. It has nothing to do with me, you know, and it could indirectly affect you, because he might have had a dinner party and somebody might have had the corona, and then it could have been around somebody that you, so it can have a domino effect. And from that aspect, he's got to be more careful. But we got to gather all the facts first, people, before we start saying stuff about these athletes and these entertainers before we know what's going on with them, or before we know what the real deal is, and just speaking out of turn, not knowing or gathering all the facts. Let's gather the facts first before we start speaking. That's what we need to do better in 2020, 21, wherever you want to call it. That's what we need to do better as a society, is gather more facts. Even the media, gather more facts before you start reporting these things on people, because it's not fair to them at all. So that's just my opinion on it. Like I said, Dak clarified it and said it was a party at his house. It was under 10 people. Hey, who are we to tell him what to do? Is he going to do what he want to do at the end of the day? That's just how it works. Now, we're going to go on to some petty shit, as I call it, that we also heard. So, Todd Gurley and Clay Matthews went on Twitter to give their distaste with how the Rams have not paid them their guarantee money. And the Rams went to clarify the reasons, a.k.a. why the team hasn't paid them, saying that the guarantee money is scheduled to be paid by a certain date due to contract stipulations, and they'll get paid on those certain dates. Okay. Rewind, let's back this shit up. Okay, so you mean to tell me the guarantee money was in my contract, right? As Todd Gurley and Clay Matthews. My agent knows when I get paid on the day, and I come out and say I ain't got paid, but you say the date. The reason I ain't got paid is because of the date. Not because you still owe me that money, but because the date hasn't come up for the time for you to pay me. Now I'm not the brightest man of all. I'm not Albert Einstein or anything, but I would think these guys know when they're gonna get paid. I would think they would not have said anything unless that date passed from the date that you were supposed to pay them, Rams. Come on, Rams. You got to do better than that. Y'all got to do better than that. I'm sorry. Pay these men their money. If they come out and saying something, clearly they got to a point where they were supposed to get paid by now and you haven't. You decide to let Clay Matthews go and you decide to release Todd Gurley. If you didn't want to pay him, you should have kept him then and paid him through the season. You no longer wanted Todd Gurley. You no longer wanted Clay Matthews. Pay up. Let's pay up. Because the owner of the Rams is a billionaire. So we ain't trying to hear nothing about no money issues or nothing like that. You're a billionaire. A couple months ain't hurt you. You ain't become from a billionaire to not have no money in a month or two. So what's the deal? I don't get that, man. These teams, man, they do a lot of flaw, as I call it. This is another down south Duval term. All my Duval County people that's listening, shout out to y'all, Jacksonville. Flaw shit is what they're doing. They're doing a lot of flaw shit. And not paying these guys what they're supposed to pay them. Pay up. If you owe the money, pay up. If they said something, don't come back trying to clarify it to make y'all look good like, oh, y'all gonna pay them. No, pay them what you owe them. You wanted to cut them, it's a business. When you release somebody and you don't owe them no money, you quick not to give them no more money. You quick to release a person when you don't owe them no money. Pay them. You release them, you still owe them guaranteed money. Pay up. If you can't afford to take it from Jeff Goff's salary, he ain't doing shit. Yeah, what is he doing for that $100 million? If anybody need to be released, you need to release Jeff Goff. If anybody need to be released from a contract, it need to be Goff because he haven't done nothing for the franchise other than the one decent season he had, and that was it. But anyway, that's another story for another podcast, which we will come back and revisit. But Rams, man, don't be no suckers, y'all. Don't be no suckers all y'all life, man. Do the right thing and pay these guys, man. Don't do that. Don't do it like that, man. Don't get y'all name out there bad that y'all won't pay. Please don't do it, Rams. Do the right thing. So that's just, it was funny. I heard that. And you hear so much about players all the time. And when you hear something about a team, now they want to come back and give you an explanation and sweep it under the rug. But if that was a player, this would have been all on outlets. I just seen a small little, and the only reason why we knew about it and it made news because Todd Gurley and them put it out there. Other than that, it probably wouldn't have been news. So I hate how the media does that with players, but with these organizations, they like to sweep shit in the rug for organizations. I peep game though. Y'all ain't know I peep game. I peep game from them. I really do peep game. So that's just my opinion on that one. My boy just got released from Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Of course, we talked about that because they signed Tom Brady. I personally believe Jameis Winston will get another job. I don't know if it's going to be a starting job at first, but I believe this man will start again in the NFL. This man has too much potential not to. I believe in this man. I think the only thing that he has to figure out is how to cut down on the turnovers. And I think that's because he was trying to do too much and it was so much, I think, pressure on him to win. I think that he put too much on his shoulder as opposed to putting some of it on his teammates. So I'm a big fan of Jameis Winston, man, watching him all through college, man. A win at that level, man, the way he carried my Florida State Seminoles there's a couple years, man. There's no way this guy is not going to be good. This guy still has great potential in him. I think he needs to be with the right team and the right fit. And you'll see Jameis again. I promise y'all. Y'all heard it here on Real Talk, Mr. Anonymous. You will see Jameis Winston again in an NFL uniform. He will be starting again. I promise you. Look out for Jameis, man. Looking for him to sign somewhere soon. Shout out to Jameis Winston. God bless. Shout out. I read an article the other week. Now we're going to switch gears back to NFL, NBA a little bit. We kind of switching gears a little bit on this podcast. We mix it up. We try to talk about a little bit of everything and switch around. I read something that was pretty good to me. There's an article about Dwayne Wade talking about how celebrities shouldn't be complaining during quarantine because they're living in these big ass mansions. They have nothing to complain about. I thought about it. I think right because a lot of celebrities and athletes they have access to things we as normal people don't have. I ain't got no damn basketball court. I ain't got no big fitness. I ain't got no movie theater. You know what I mean? I don't got, we don't, us as regular people don't have the luxuries that they have of rich people. We don't. Like I was the other day watching Rick Ross IG. Shit, we ain't living on Bel Air Estates. We ain't in Evander Holyfield old house. You know what I mean? 50 fucking acres, you know what I mean? We don't got access to cars, bikes, dirt bikes, ATV. We don't have access to all things they have. So they do, to a certain degree, they do have some stuff to keep them a little more occupied than we do. Our space is a lot smaller than theirs, They can move around a lot in their house, do damn near anything they want to do. So I agree with him to that standpoint. But I do want to point out this when we are talking about the quarantine and being in the house. I believe that at some point everyone has the same kind of feelings as far as being quarantined. At some point you're gonna still get tired of being in the house and not being able to be out and about, no matter if you have a big house or not. I think everybody will get a little bit tired of it. Now we probably or the world of society probably doesn't want to hear NFL, NBA, or celebrities complain about being rich and having a lot of money and being able to stay in the house. But at the end of the day, they're just people, and I think that's what we forget about a lot of things. Is at the end of the day, they're just people. They have money, but they're just people. But we put them on such a high pedestal to make them supernatural or make them so above us. And they're not above us. No man walked this earth, I feel like, is above me. No woman is above any other woman. Everybody is equal. Some people just have more money than others. But that doesn't make you a better person. That doesn't make you better than any other person just because you have money. So I don't buy that premise of, oh, well, because they're a celebrity, they shouldn't complain about this and that. They're human. Humans are going to be humans. If you complain about whatever it is that you complain about, some people could say you shouldn't have a right to complain that has lesser than you have. So we can all say that. It's people in all different financial situations that people can say, well, oh, you don't have a reason to complain because you got this and that and that. We can all say that. So I don't buy that premise of if you're a celebrity, you shouldn't complain about anything. I think being a celebrity is just being a celebrity. You're still human. And going back to Dak Prescott a little bit, you're still human at the end of the day. You're going to make mistakes. Sometimes you're going to get frustrated. Sometimes you're going to get whatever it may be. Sometimes you're going to complain. Sometimes that's just people. That's life. People going to complain in life. That's in general. I try personally myself not to do too much complaining. Because I think at the end of the day, no matter what your situation is, you have to be thankful because it's always somebody that's doing worse than you're doing. But at the end of the day, people are going to be people, so people are going to complain. And I don't think just because you're a celebrity that makes you any differently that you can't complain. But that's just my thought on it. But I thought it was an interesting article how him saying that we shouldn't complain as millionaires when we're living in big ass mansions and we have all access to everything. It was a pretty good little podcast with Dwayne Wade and Udonis Haslem. So I like that. It was dope, man. It was real dope, man. Real dope. So we're gonna wind on down, man, a little bit. When we wind down, I want to give y'all some insight on entrepreneurship, as I always do, and try to give you something on, I don't want to say relationship advice, but we'll go a little bit into that, but we're just gonna say world advice. And a lot of people say, hey, what you doing? Social distance really hasn't affected me that much. And for everybody that knows me, no, social distance doesn't affect me that much because I ain't never really messed with a lot of people anyway. So being per se confined to the house or not being able to go out the house has never really bothered me because I never really moved around a lot anyway. I've always been to myself, and I've always had a very, very, very small circle of friends that I hung out and talked to. So I'm not bothered by that really, you know. So I've been social, as they call it, I've been social distancing for a long time, you know. But I think the people that are having problems with it, I think sometimes if you're having a problem with social distancing, it's really, really getting to you, like you getting anxiety and depression. I think you got to look inside yourself and say, well, hey, why do I always need to be around someone else? Why can I not be by myself? I'm good enough myself to be by myself. Why do I always need to be around the company of somebody else? And I think if you look in that and you take this time to look at yourself and look into yourself and see why is that, I think it's very important at this time. I think there's a lot that we as individuals, we as families, we as loved ones, we as brothers, sisters, mom, dad, whatever it may be. I think this is the time that we need to really look into who are the people that are most important to me, and how long have I been neglecting those people because of whatever may be going on in life. Now life has stopped. How can I reconnect or connect with those people more that I am in a standstill place? I think that's the most important thing, is connecting or reconnecting with the people that we love, because we're at a standstill right now. We have nothing but time to reconnect before we get back busy again, so that now once we're able to get back out, we have built that connection with those loved ones where we can continue on, at least to some degree, in the way we were doing when we were quarantined, and not go back to our regular busy everyday life, forgetting about everything else. So I think this was a very, very good for everybody to sit back a little bit and relax and rest and really take a deep breath and really, and like I said, really connect with the people that you love. So that's what I think we as individuals should do while we are in quarantine right now, is really hone in on the people we love and spending more time in connecting with those people, because I think that's very important. So also, man, I got one little question that I got before I close it out and give that inspirational vitamin. I got one question somebody asked me, or somebody was saying that I saw, and it was for quarantine in relationships. And I think it's simple. At the end of the day, you could be quarantined, but you don't have to be in the same room all the time. I mean, you could still get breaks from each other, or maybe you go out on the patio and she stays in the house. Maybe she stays in the house, you go on the patio. Maybe you go for a walk and she stays in the house. Whatever it may be, however you need to diversify your time if you feel like you are being suffocated, because some people might feel, oh, I'm being suffocated, I'm always around, I've never been out. So I think there's things you can do to not feel so suffocated. But I think at the end of the day, this is the time for you to sharpen up on those relationships, sharpen up on those marriages, really get in depth with your partner, talk a lot, listen a lot, just have a good time. Just enjoy each other, because when life goes and you have kids and you work and you're doing everything else, you don't have time to do any of this stuff that we are doing right now. You don't have time. I've seen more people riding bikes with their kids and out on walks with their kids than I've ever seen in my life. And it's great that people can take a step back and be able to do that. Seeing married couples walking and out on the patios, drinking wine, and just enjoying each other's time. And I think that's important because I think a lot of people in America needed that. I think a lot of marriages needed that time to try to reconnect. Now, I really do believe that. So take the time and reconnect with your loved ones, with your wife, girlfriend, fiance, whatever it may be, and continue to communicate and show that person that you love them, and try to build that chemistry back again. If you lost the chemistry, if the fire is gone, try to build that back up again. Try to do some good things to put some good energy back in the air. So that's just my little tidbit of advice I give you out there, guys out there that asked me that question about quarantining relationships. And now we're going to end the show, man. We're going to just give you some food for thought as entrepreneurs. Like I tell y'all, anytime I'm giving you advice, anytime I'm saying something about entrepreneurship, I'm also trying to ingrain it in my mind also as I'm talking to y'all about it. And this just been put on my heart for like some days now. And I keep on going back to it, and I know God put it in my mind and put it in my heart for me to say. And I know if at least one person really gets it, then that's great. So if and this is to all my entrepreneurs out there, if God put you being an entrepreneur, you being in a position of leadership, I would say this: everybody has entrepreneur or leadership gifts inside of us. God gives us all gifts. Everybody has a different gift, and God gives us different gifts. I think entrepreneurship is inside of everybody to some form of fashion. I believe that God puts an idea at one point in your life. God puts that idea in your mind that you should run with. And a lot of times we just go against it, or we don't follow through on it, or we say, oh, that's too big of a dream. Or I believe everybody has that entrepreneur gift inside of them. And I believe if God puts something in your heart, if God puts something on your mind, you move on that. No matter how big, how small, no matter what it is, you move on that if God's put something in your mind and in your heart. Because a lot of people don't move on the gifts that God put in their heart. A lot of people don't move on what God says to them. A lot of people are not still enough to hear what God is saying to them a lot of times, because we're doing so much moving that we're not standing still to hear it. So if God puts something in your mind and your heart, man, you move on those gifts. You move on it like there's no tomorrow. So, man, I appreciate y'all checking out Real Talk with Mr. Anonymous. It's your boy back again. We'll be coming back to y'all, man. I'm going to try to get back to y'all, man, weekly, man, and shoot some more podcasts. I'm usually shooting once a month. I'm going to try to shoot every month. We will be, again, going live very soon, man. Very live very soon. We're going to be shooting live podcasts very soon, trying to get everything together for it, man. Appreciate all y'all love and support. Real Talk Mr. Anonymous on IG. Go check me out on iTunes, Real Talk Mr. Anonymous, and on Spotify, iHeartRadio. Wherever you got podcasting at, look up Real Talk Mr. Anonymous. Subscribe, drop a comment. Let's have a conversation on IG. Let's have a debate about sports. Whatever it may be. Love y'all. God bless. Stay safe out there.